The BBC publishes an article criticizing China's new law on the promotion of national unity and progress. The headline claims it requires minorities to learn Mandarin, and the article suggests it's about forced assimilation and eroding minority rights. And this is your favorite half Chinese. But after reading the full official text of the law, it's clear that the BBC's reporting misses the mark. It represents a very one-sided and in some key areas simply inaccurate picture. Today we're going to go through the law itself to see what it actually says. To really understand this law, you have to start at the beginning, not at Article 1. But at the preamble. And this is crucial for a Western audience because it sets the entire philosophical foundation. The preamble isn't just legal jargon, it's a statement of identity. It talks about China as one of the world's oldest countries and the Chinese nation as having over 5,000 years of history. It describes how the 56 ethnic groups all together jointly opened up the vast territory of the motherland, jointly created a unified multi-ethnic country, and jointly created a splendid Chinese culture. Now think of it, they always say jointly. They never say this group or that group. They see them as all as one. For the West, many times when we live in the Netherlands, what we regard as Dutch, it's just the one with the blonde hair and blue eyes, and all the others are just foreigners, often we call them, which is not true because being Dutch is not an ethnicity but a nationality. It then references a painful period after 1840 when China was gradually become a semi-colonial and semi-feudal country. That was became, right? Not become. And it says that during this time of heroic struggle, the Chinese people realized a great transformation from freedom to self-consciousness as a nation. Finally, it lays out the core philosophy of the Communist Party of China on this issue. It regards the forging of the Chinese national community consciousness as the main line of the party's national work. So the law's entire premise is built on this idea of a shared multi-ethnic history and a collective destiny. It is not about one group dominating over another. It's about defining what binds all 56 groups together as one nation. That's all so beautiful, right? I mean, honestly, with that in mind, let's look at what the BBC got wrong. The BBC claim number 1, it mandates that all children should be taught Mandarin before kindergarten and up until the end of high school. What the law actually says, according to Article 15, the country has fully promoted the popularization of the national common language. The state respects and guarantees the learning and use of minority languages and scripts, promotes the standardization and informatization of minority languages. I always struggle with these kind of words. I don't know why. Do you also? Let me know that in the comment section. So languages of minority and languages and scripts, and the support of the protection coalition, research and use of ancient minority books. So this is why the BBC article is misleading. The law promotes Mandarin as a common language for national unity, which is practical for things like job prospects and national mobility. However, the BBC omits the clause that explicitly guarantees the learning and use of minority languages. The law promotes bilingualism, not replacement. BBC second claim. Number 2. Critics say it cuts people off from their language and culture. So this is what the law actually says. Article 13. The excellent traditional culture of all ethnic groups is an integral part of Chinese culture. The state supports the promotion and promotion of China's outstanding traditional culture. Article 29. The state promotes the mutual learning and integration of national cultures, encourages all ethnic groups to participate in each other's excellent traditional culture and learn languages and scripts. Why the BBC is wrong and misleading here, the law doesn't just pay lip service, it actively mandates the protection of minority cultures. It frames them as an integral part of the broader Chinese culture. The goal is mutual appreciation, not cultural erasure. Now, BBC's third claim, it calls for mutual embedded community environments, which some analysts believe could result in the breakup of minority-heavy neighborhoods. But the law actually says something totally else. Article 22. People's governments at or above the county level shall promote the construction of an interoperable community environment and improve the social conditions for people of all ethnic groups to live together, build and share and work together for happiness. Again, to improve the social conditions for people of all ethnic groups to live together, build and share and work together for happiness. It doesn't get better than this. They actually want all 56 ethnic groups to live together as just one, but still remaining to have their own distinct culture, language, etc. But this would make them feel as belonging somewhere. Instead of, as we have in the West often, is that we are more or less ousting them or say they are not the same as us, they don't belong here, which creates the feeling for many of other ethnic cultures here in the West that they don't belong, they feel unhappy. Why should we not strive for society to make everybody happy? That is a question that we should ask. That is exactly what China wants, everybody to be happy. Anyway, Article 23. Local people's governments at all levels shall, in accordance with local conditions, take concrete measures to promote the unity and integration of all ethnic groups. Why is the BBC so wrong and misleading? This is a classic example of taking phrase out of context to imply a sinister motive. The law's chapters on exchange and integration are about creating the conditions for different groups to interact, share public services, and build community together. It's about removing barriers, not demolishing neighborhoods. It's a policy of integration, not segregation. And maybe that is why it's upset the government of the UK, and therefore BBC, the state-sponsored outlet, news outlet. I don't know if we still can call it a news outlet, but alright. BBC's fourth claim. The law provides a legal basis to prosecute parents or guardians who may instill what it describes as detrimental views in children which would affect ethnic harmony. But the law says something else. Article 20. Parents or other guardians of minors shall fulfill their family education responsibilities in accordance with the law, educate and guide minors to love the Communist Party of China, love the motherland, love the people, love the Chinese nation. Wow! They want you to be happy and to be loved, because if you are being taught to love and your neighbor is being taught to love, then you yourself also will be loved. It's just trying to build an incredible society, if you think of it, right? Where people actually love each other instead of hating each other's guts. This is what we see so much here in the West. And it's just very sad to see that, right? So they also want to establish the concept of a family of the Chinese nation and must not inculcate the concept of unfavorable national unity and progress in minors. That is why they're doing it. So why the BBC is wrong / misleading, the BBC frames it as a tool for prosecution. The article, however, is about the responsibility of parents in family education. It's a positive obligation to teach civic values. The phrase they highlight is a standard clause in many countries' education laws to prevent the teaching of hate or division. It's a guideline for upbringing, not a new crime with a specific penalty listed in this chapter. And I think that is something that also we in the West could learn from, right? To teach our children civic and laws and or not laws, civic values, right? Many of our children just don't have that anymore, and that's not their fault. A child is just a child. It's the fault of all the elderly that are not teaching them. Anyway, and so if the law isn't about forced assimilation, what is it about? The structure of the law itself gives us the answer. It's a comprehensive policy framework built around several key pillars. Building a shared spiritual home, that's in chapter 2. This is about identity. It's about promoting a shared history, national symbols, and core socialist values. It emphasizes that the cultures of all 56 groups are part of a greater Chinese culture. It's about defining a common ground. It would be something for the Dutch people to be like, we have a lot of Moroccan and Turkish people, to integrate them fully into Dutch society, so they can feel Dutch, while at the same time still holding their own culture. But that culture also becomes a part of the new Dutch culture. It's such a beautiful thing when you think of it, that we should be angry that our government isn't doing exactly this. Instead, it is trying to divide us. Number 2, promotion of exchange and integration. That's in chapter 3. This is practical. It's about creating mixed communities, supporting two-way migration for work and education, and encouraging people from different backgrounds to live, learn, and celebrate together. Again, together. It focuses on social conditions and public services to make integration easier. What is actually wrong with this? Can somebody tell me? Number 3, promoting common prosperity and development. That is in chapter 4 of that law. This is the economic heart of the law. It's a commitment to develop infrastructure in ethnic regions, build modern industries, improve public services like healthcare and education, and ensure that the benefits of modernization reach everyone. It links national unity with tangible economic progress. And that is exactly what they were doing in Xinjiang, until the West thought, oh my God, all those Uyghurs are starting to earn so much money, let's just make up things about them like forced labor, and now we're going to sanction them, and now we are going to tell companies who are also having a part of their company in Xinjiang to tell us, to prove to us that there is no forced labor in their supply chain. And if they cannot prove it, then they cannot do business which will force that company to make a decision to either leave and then get that business or stay in Xinjiang and don't get that business. And that is very dangerous, because if companies will start to leave and do not want to do business with the Uyghurs in Xinjiang, then what happens? They will get extremely poor. So all these things is made to create economic instability. And there's a reason for that. And that is not something that we're going into, but if you want to know that, then let me know in the comment section what the reason exactly is behind it. Then we can make a video about it, right? Security and supervision, that's in chapter 5, and legal liability, that's in chapter 6. These chapters establish the mechanisms for implementing the first 3 parts. They assign responsibilities to government bodies, schools, communities, and even families. And yes, they include legal consequences for actions that intentionally undermine this unity, such as discrimination and or inciting division. Wow. Don't we need that in the West? Don't we need that? But no, here we just allow everybody to, divide us, because when we need to vote, to harvest our votes, it is easier to do that when we are all divided, right? The core concept repeated throughout the law is forging a sense of the Chinese national community. This isn't about making everyone Han Chinese. It's about creating a shared national identity that all 56 groups can belong to, while explicitly protecting their individual, linguistic, and cultural heritage. How is that bad? Can somebody tell me? The BBC article chose to focus on fear and conflict, but reading the law itself reveals a different story. A complex and, yes, ambitious attempt to balance national unity with ethnic diversity and to tie that unity to shared prosperity. You don't have to agree with its methods, but you should at least know what it actually says. And when we just think of this, what is so bad about what they are trying to do? It looks like China wants to transform its nation into one huge nation where everybody has a sort of shared identity, but also have their differences in cultures, but combining that into one culture. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Now compare that to us, where we have such a great division, right? In the United States, you see it between the Africans and the Asians and the European Americans, right? And also, not to forget, the Native Americans. They are all seen as different groups. This is not what China wants. China wants to be a home for everybody that's living in China. They want you to feel at home and to be a part of society, not an external part of society. So what the BBC was trying to do is actually coming again to every accusation is a confession. Because isn't this exactly what is going on in the UK? Are they trying to become one with their Muslim communities? At least with the ones from India and Pakistan. I mean, that's at least the least thing they can do. I mean, they had colonized it. These people have all the right to live in the UK after being colonized for so long, right? They have become a part of the UK's history. But we see nothing of them. We don't see the BBC calling for unity among all these groups. Instead, it always is trying to create division. Anyway, let me know in the comment section what you all think of this. Do you think this is a beautiful thing? Honest answer, let me know in the comment section. I also have a buy me a coffee, but only donate to support my work if you are really financially stable. If not, then please just like and share. That is just as good as me to me and makes me just as happy as a cup of coffee. Anyway, Mr. Fong loves you all and have a great day. Your favorite half Chinese.